Hi, this is Randy Randall of No Age and host of the podcast Hyphenate with Randy Randall. I want to welcome our newest sponsor of the show, DistroKid. DistroKid helps musicians get their music on all the major streaming platforms, and artists keep 100% of their royalties. Hyphenate listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/HYPHENATE. Go get your music streaming everywhere now. What's happening?
Hey.
Monday morning.
Yes.
Welcome to Halftime Hyphenate. Hyphenate halftime? I figure which one goes first.
Something. I feel like it should just change every time.
As long as those two words are said, we're good. My name is Randy.
Hyphenate.
Halftime finite. Half the time finite. I'm Randy Randall. This is my co-host, Mr. Aaron Farley. How you doing, Mr. Aaron Farley?
I'm good. Braving
awesome.
the
Southern
weather,
California weather
rain.
event. Yes.
The atmospheric river, which is a new thing, right?
That's got to be made up.
Like
That's
2
made up.
years, all of a sudden, like atmospheric rivers are the thing. It's like when they've all of a sudden started to name all the moons. Like, well, you're ready. We're getting there for a red gopher moon this year or whatever, whatever it is. You're like, when did the moon start getting names of like different full moons have different names? They're like, no, trust me, it's always been this way. Like,
has it been?
Since when?
We used to get storms and now the rivers, but maybe it's a climate change thing. I'll go with that. Sure. Maybe now we have rivers,
atmospheric rivers.
Yeah. But I just also don't know exactly how to dress for that. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Well, I got scared when our kids' school sent out a thing like, we are prepared for any weather events that happen. Please send your children to school. Do not keep your children at home. We are prepared. And then that got me scared. And I'm like, wait a second. Is there something more going on than I thought it was just going to rain for a couple days, but now everyone's so prepared. Like I should be prepared. I am not prepared for rain.
Yeah. Well, it turns out the schools don't get paid if the kids don't show up to school. So
that's why they wanted to.
It pays to be prepared.
Yeah, they wanted to instill the confidence, and it kind of backfired the other way. Like, yeah.
You're like, oh, it's that serious? I'm getting emails about it. I thought it was just raining.
Should probably keep the kids home then. I don't know if it's serious enough for them to email us to tell them to bring them. Probably means they shouldn't go.
Yeah. We have life jackets for every child. Don't worry.
Yeah. Like, I'm just going to send them with one of those crappy umbrellas. It doesn't really work. That was my thought. And it's a Spider-Man plastic jacket.
Remember when we were kids and it used to just rain on us?
It was good for you. It was only
about the weather.
It was the only water we ever drank when we were children. Was the rainwater. When you put your mouth up and caught the rain. Other than that,
that in the garden,
soda and Kool-Aid. Also. Oh yeah, garden hose.
And the garden hose.
God, I remember the garden hose. That was the best.
The amazing like dirt smell.
Hose water.
Yeah,
I always kind of felt like a hollowness in my chest after drinking hose water, and then I'd go running around. And I was like, like okay, I think that hose water was a little too strong.
It really is interesting that really was a thing. Like everybody around our age was like, well, yeah. I mean, where else would you get water from? I've actually been thinking about this just because I drive a lot. Like when I'm working. Yeah. Most of my clients now are like Palm Springs, Joshua Tree area. So I end up having to drive a lot. So I end up like, oh, I didn't fill up my water. So I have to go and get like a bottle of water or whatever. And
from a gas station?
I mean, it really was only like 20 years ago that they started having multiple brands of bottled water. Like before that, it was Evian. Like you would laugh at someone for having bottled water, right? You'd be like, why are you buying water? Water's free everywhere. Because they used to have drinking fountains. There were drinking fountains everywhere. Yeah. Right? Like if you went...
Just go get a drink.
A bottle of water or a drink of water, you'd get gas. You'd go in, the gas station would have a drinking fountain. You'd go get a drinking fountain or you'd fill up your cup or whatever. and you'd go to the next place. Even like rest areas had drinking fountains. They might still have drinking fountains.
Maybe, yeah.
But that there were drinking fountains everywhere.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
drank from a lot of
wondering-
drinking fountains as a kid.
Yes, and my conspiracy theorist in me
Yes.
is that did the bottled water companies get rid of all the drinking fountains without everybody knowing it?
Whoa.
Because there's no drinking fountains anywhere. There's still like you can find one drinking fountain at Target. Like if you go into Target, there'll be like one drinking fountain way at the back, but then people are like, "Ugh, drinking fountain." And the kids at our school, at the middle school, will not drink out of the drinking fountains because they think it's gross.
Weird. Yeah.
Is this marketing? This is marketing, right?
Maybe. But then now we've come to learn that all the plastic that the water is in, the plastic water bottle things, have microplastics and cause all kinds of other diseases that way.
But no one cares about that. Everyone's worried about the water coming out of the water fountain is bad for you.
Well, because someone put their lips on the whole water fountain that one time, so you better not drink from it because their lips touched that water.
Lip bacteria does not come flying off in the water stream. That water stream is way too. It's way too strong. The water even if there is lip bacteria, you let the water run for a second,
and then just washed it out. Yeah, you just pour some water.
And who's putting their mouth on the water?
Don't put your whole mouth on it.
Come on. But I have to say though, like we never, as kids, I never brought water to school. You ever bring like a water bottle? Because there was drinking fountains. So in between every class, there was always a drinking fountain. You'd go get a little sip of water, go to your class.
Yeah.
No, now the drinking fountains are like few and far between, and no one will touch them.
Wow.
But they will use the new drinking fountain downstairs, same water that has the little
coming out of the fridge,
the water bottle. No, the water bottle. Filler.
Yes.
The filler on it from up top. If they're filling their water bottles up, then the water is fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's marketing, right?
Because the water bottle has bacteria in it.
Same water.
And it's the good bacteria that you want to drink all the time.
It's good for you.
It's a nice sludge that collects around the spinning caps. It's probably healthier for them just to put their face under the water bottle filler and just let that water just flow into their mouth. But
the amount of days they'll like beg to get like the pass to go downstairs to get the water bottle, to fill up their water bottle downstairs. I know that they're just trying to get out of class for a longer time, and it takes like that adds like an extra minute and a half of not being in class. So I'm not that dumb.
Yeah.
But
Mister, I'm so
the amount
thirsty.
of time.
I'm so thirsty. I don't have water. If you don't let me drink water, I'm going to die of thirst.
There's literally a water fountain right outside of the door of the classroom. And I'm like, just go get a drink. Sure.
Do kids drink water?
And they're like, no.
In class? Do they
Oh,
drink
yeah.
water?
They all have.
And their bottles
They all
just clanking
have,
around, and they're all metal and clanky.
They bring plastic water bottles, so it goes. You just hear that in the corner. It's like, who's
no water?
What?
No water.
Throwing
in class.
water bottles.
No.
This is madhouse.
Wow.
It's a madhouse.
What?
But
this is the future.
This is my thing.
Thanks, Biden. And this is the Biden future you wanted.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, just kidding.
Obama, then Biden, then Trump. I mean, then Trump, then Biden. Hopefully not Trump again.
God damn it.
But I complain about this all the time, the lack of water, like water fountains. And to the point to where like my family just rolls their eyes. Like, yeah. Let me guess. There's no water fountains in this store. I'm like, and I will stop by and drink at every water fountain that exists. If there's a water fountain,
just make a point to pull a car over. Yeah.
If it's crusty, if it looks like maybe someone poured something out in the water fountain before I got there,
you get it.
Or maybe if there's like trash or something in there, which happens. That's a whole nother thing.
Using the unused water fountains as trash receptacles.
People using public areas just to show like a little power move, like when they
trash.
Like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take something that doesn't flush down the toilet, like thick paper, and I'm just going to put it in there. There's only reason you would do that is power move. That's a like, you know what, this world, This is
a
my
real
little
dick
tiny
move.
power move. Yeah.
Congratulations. You're the king. You did it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The world slow claps, golf claps you. There it is. Way to go. You did it.
The angels up in heaven going, you know what,
wow.
sir? You won this one. This 5 minutes is yours.
You got us. Construction paper in the shitter. Wow. Never would have thought of that one. You got me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're really pulling one over on them. All right. I just had to get that off my chest.
That's good. No, thank you.
I don't really want to talk about politics, Randy, but this really burning me up right now.
Oh my God. Well, we were just watching the Grammys before I jumped on here, and I think that might be relevant. Yeah. I'm sure people have looked up and gone, huh, that person won. Okay. Yeah. Who's that person? Why are they there?
Yeah.
But it's so, I mean, I'm fine with that with the Monday, like, quick news headline, like, so-and-so won a Grammy. Like, all right.
Yeah.
That's about what it's worth. But we were watching it this evening. My better half requested that we put it on the television. And I am just such a cynical little bitch. I just can't, I can't watch these things. I'm just like, this is all terrible. Everybody's terrible. Why is everybody terrible all the time? You know?
Although I'm very happy that Killer Mike won.
I didn't see that. Did that just happen?
Well, I just saw it on Instagram and I was like, okay. This is good. He should win. He's like, this is good for him. I think it's good for rap, all that stuff. But then they said that they did the rap categories before the pre-show before the live taping. God. And I'm like, how is rap not on the live
That's
taping?
The whole show.
It's like, it's like the top. I think rap and country are the only two high-end or like whatever music that's left, right?
Well, I saw Miley Cyrus and I just saw but I'm also on a text chain with my mom and my wife, and my mom just wrote OMG ZJZ is capping. This is my mom, my 75-year-old mom. I don't know what any of that means. ZJZ must be capping right now.
Wow.
I don't know.
That is crazy. I have no idea either. I feel like we skipped a generation. Did we become boomers?
Somehow.
And your mom is now Gen
I'm
Gen
old
Z?
and crusty. I don't care about any of these people. I think I just feel like at some point I've officially reached the age of like, none of these people really mean anything, and they're all skinny and like empty-headed is the biggest feeling I have, just like watching people. Or maybe I'm just thinking of Miley Cyrus, but just in general, it's just like, this is all just like sad, weird, like posturing, and like think it's all just created by middleman like music executives to like show their clients like, look, you got an award, we did our job, we get a 10% bonus now, cut of whatever millions you're making. And so, because we set this whole thing up so we could like give you an award, and it just feels so like meaningless and just horrible. And I just, especially in the state of music now, where there's just nobody, like maybe those 10 people that performed on the Grammys tonight make music, and their team all takes huge cuts of their music or cuts of the money. But 99% of the people who play music daily see $0. There used to be some kind of like actual like middle class or some type of like independent like ability to sell music. But it's just, there really is that one kind of thing. It's like, why am I going to watch the Grammys and celebrate these people? Like, these are horrible. This is the horrible like oppressor. I feel like there's a recording industry, and even at that, like whatever song won, I tried to look up like, did Billie Eilish's song in Barbie actually sell any records? Has anybody like spent any money to listen to that song? It's a hugely popular song. I get that. It's a popular movie. People spent money to go to the movie, I guess.
It's a good song. It's a good song.
But your daughter has it on CD, on single, on vinyl, and has it on 4 or 5 different formats, right? And she gave one to her friend for her birthday because her friends really love it.
Posters.
So Billie Eilish is making money off of her music somehow. I don't know. All of that stuff just like,
I mean, because even those Spotify numbers, like when they have like 1 billion streams or whatever,
meaningless.
It's not
garbage.
That much. It's not that much money.
No.
So I don't know. What are they're making? I mean, they're doing their 50-50 deals or whatever, right? And
I have no idea. I don't even know what people.
Everybody's getting money on touring, and
do the people at Billie Eilish's level do they actually get paid appropriately for what for what their thing is, because they're the people who have the most listens, so they can flex and be like, hey, we got 5 billion listens.
Like they get a,
well, it's like
they get
so
a different
say
percentage.
We'll say you have like 10 billion listens a month, right, on Spotify, and half of those are by, you know, a handful of artists. You know what I mean? Like, so let's say 5 billion of those are Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish and I don't know, country star of the minute, or right, or you know, whatever it is. Can they say like, oh, cool, well, since we're now into the billion a month numbers, we're going to go ahead and we're going to have to open that extra door, that kick it into gear, where we actually get paid money, like, or else what? I don't know. Or is it just everybody just gets the same 0.003% per play stream, split up between the master side and the publishing side and everything, and like cut that in a bunch of small parts between your team?
Well, I've got to imagine that the music industry, probably UMG or whatever, Universal,
right? Yeah,
probably has a stake in Spotify, right? Like they probably own part of it,
or yeah, I think they had some kind of thing where they actually see like back in. It's the new thing. Yeah, they're like, we'll participate in this if we get higher rates of these things.
Yeah,
you know what I just looked up?
Or we actually own like 35% of Spotify.
Yeah, Universal Music Group is owned by Vivendi, and Vivendi. Do you know this company, Vivendi? It's this French. They started Canal Plus. Right? Vivendi, no. Well, I don't know. They own a lot of things. But they've had water rights in Europe to basically like sell water. European in countries since.
Oh, we're getting back into it.
Right, since water. Yeah,
all right, since the
1880s. Vivendi,
You're saying Taylor Swift owns all of
water,
the water fountains,
yes,
public water fountains. Okay,
but the company was started by Napoleon. But it's like Napoleon III. I'm like, well, is that like a guy, like a descendant of Napoleon? And I like looked. I was like, no, it's like the Napoleon Bonaparte.
Real guy.
Started.
This was his corporation.
Yeah, his corporation. He started.
Wow.
in the 1800s in France, and the version of that same company is what now controls Universal Music Group, as well as Nestle and all these other water. I don't know if Nestle's, but terrible water people and all these other kinds of things. You're just like, oh god, like okay. So it really is like the whatever. I mean, I'm not going to solve anything here, but it's it's disheartening when you really look at it all, and then to just watch these poor like anorexic like children like get up on stage and sing and pretend to be sexy and like to sell something. I'm just like, this isn't culture. This isn't anything I could like. This isn't like art. I don't know what this is. Yeah. This is some weird like again like this is the corporate version of construction paper in the toilet bowl. It's just a weird big power flex. Like, look, this music is so terrible and so vapid and so horrible, but look, you're going to watch it anyway, and you're going to like it. Look at that. You're going to watch this. Look at this. Try to not watch it. Try to not know what Taylor Swift is going to announce tonight. I'm like, I can't.
Now go in and try to use the toilet, buddy.
Yep.
How do you like
that? How do you like this now?
Oh, wait. Oh, guess what? You get to plunge it.
Yeah. Now try to put on your 30-year-old CDs. Those don't work. That player stopped working 40 years ago. Oops. Looks like you're going to have to stream Fugazi on Spotify. Oh, yeah.
I was actually thinking about that just today because Minor Threat came up on. For some reason I've been listening to the Nirvana Incesticide album on Spotify.
Oh God, yeah.
I was just like, I never really like went through this whole album, and so I was listening to it, and then when you get to the end of the album, it just gives you like a radio version of whatever. So it starts like throwing songs at you. So it threw me like a Melvin song. So I'm like, okay,
that's nice.
Fits.
All right.
And it threw me like a weird punk Beck song. And then
that's getting weirder. Okay.
And then it threw a Minor Threat song in there. And I was like,
that's the jump we're making?
Oh yeah. But it made sense. But then I really thought, I'm like, of all people, it's interesting that Ian MacKaye was just like, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, throw it up on Spotify. What do I care? Because the whole the whole label has been up on like every, like Spotify, Apple, like all the streaming services since the beginning, and it has never been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how big of an issue could it really be if Ian doesn't care? That just went through my head today, and I was like, is that a valid point, or is he just like, yeah, I mean, you know, whatever, any kind of like way to get the music out there. I already made my money. Like, we're not selling. They're probably not selling many CDs or anything that much. Like, the back catalog is not massive.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, we're, No Age is on a label called Drag City, and they were notoriously against, streaming, or just just didn't have their stuff on there years after all these other labels did. And when we first signed with them in 2018, it was like, yeah, no, we're not on streaming. And they're like, okay, that sounds fine at the time. And then I remember like the record came out and somebody's asking like, yeah, but it's not streaming. I'm like, yeah, well, because you have to buy the record. I was still had this mentality of like, put a record out, and I would, that's the thing, you go and you could buy a download, I guess, if you're that kind of person, if you enjoy spending money on downloads. But most people go to record stores and buy things, don't they? Don't they? Hello?
Crickets.
Is anybody here?
Crickets.
The tumbleweed rolled through. I'm like, oh, I guess so. Like, then, so we just put a record.
What?
Yeah.
What am I gonna?
Yeah, we put a record out, and it's not on streaming, and nobody buys records anymore. So I was like, well, that's fine. I guess that's just fine. That's what we're doing here.
It's cool.
I suppose. Yeah. And then somewhere on tour, it was like April Fool's Day. It was like, April 1st. I remember we were in Glasgow, and I got an email from Drag City like, okay, well, we're putting all the, back catalogs going up. Back catalogs going up on streamers today. If you guys if any artists don't want to be on it, they can opt out. Just, write us back to this email and say, I don't want it on there. But otherwise, if you putting anything out with us, we're going to put it up on streamers today. And it really was like, is this an April Fool's joke? Is this something? And then, but no, everything went up. And I think that just, it was the kind of thing too, like you said, like the amount of the fractions of pennies they got was somehow a stopgap or some kind of like something more than like the digital sale, trying to make up for something. It's like those only money's out there, it's the crumbs. The crumbs are better than nothing. And so I was like, oh,
at the very least,
that's the game we're playing.
Marketing, I guess. It's like, yeah, at the very least, it's marketing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess, I'm not going to figure it all out tonight. But then anyway, there was just watching the Grammys tonight. It was just, my wife was like, why are you such a dick? Why are you so cynical? And just said, you're terrible to watch these things with. And I was like, I don't know. I want to be happy in life. I don't want to choose to be unhappy. I think I just, normally steer clear of things that are such a bummer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've just tried my best to steer clear of those things. But it's a funny thing when you're Sunday night after dinner, and like, oh, hey, let's put the award show on. And I'm just like, I don't know why. Why are we doing this? It's like,
well, I feel like this is actually one of the things, and we're talking about Bjorn, right?
Oh yes, of course, yeah. This is the Bjorn Copeland halftime show. Yes, we will get to Bjorn right now.
I listened to two of them back to back, so I'm hopefully I'm not going to mix things up.
Yeah,
but that I feel like this conversation does tie in very well to that Rhode Island, like the RISD scene,
yes,
the music scene and everything, which was about like none of that. Like it's exactly like whatever's coming out of your mouth right now is exactly what that whole scene was like. It's just like both of these podcasts coming up are agreeing with you 100% on everything. Well, like the podcasts as little entities with mouths are just like smiling right now going, no, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's it. Well, because it is so much about this like little tiny scene and this like, oh, are you trying to get a record deal? Like, no. Who would put out a record of this? Like, like we're just trying to have our friends over and have fun and make art and music and try to like build out this warehouse, and everybody's in a band, and if they're not in a band, then they're making videos for the band, or they're like making props for something, or I mean, it's just sounds like such an amazing scene. And again, someone, and you'll have to listen to both podcasts. So we'll talk about both of them. But that
next week's episode coming up is Joel Kayak. So that's the one.
Joel Kayak.
Yeah. The last week was Bjorn Copeland's. Yeah.
And again, we're in. Wait, what's your February? Five Thursday, 5 frickin' Thursday, February podcast or something. Yes.
I think that's the month. Yeah, this is our first theme month on the Hyphenate pod is the five fucking Thursdays about Providence.
I think. Five finger discount Thursdays.
Yeah,
Providence podcast.
Yeah, I think that's the right name for it.
Yeah, but both of the, I mean, but let's talk about Bjorn. But like they're like with Black Dice and with like him just talking about music as if like, well, I'm not really a musician, but we started a band and we were playing in a band, but it wasn't really music, but it's music. It was like art and noise and like some kind of violence thrown in and some like scaring the audience and scaring yourselves and performance art but like really it was about like kind of performing or creating a community of like-minded people for everybody to express themselves and enjoy themselves. And I think that that's why a lot of people, and again, I feel like a lot of your history with the smell, and you guys talked about it, but like that there was a lot of that in the early 2000s of like a bunch of kids getting together because they enjoyed music, but not just because they enjoyed music. Whatever was going on was like an energy ball that everybody wanted to be inside of. And it was unexplainable. And bands would like pop up and play a couple shows and go away. And then some bands would pop up and we're like, oh, this actually is working, and keep playing. And then someone would start a label, and then Sean would book you somewhere in the city like everybody else.
Yeah.
And then a club would start up, and a weekend would start up, and a Fuck Yeah Fest would start up, and like all of these things like would come out of these like this energy ball, and it would just slowly expand and expand. And if it was working, it would just keep expanding. And I feel like, I mean, I love both of these podcasts because I really don't know much about Black Dice. And even when I listened, I'm like, I'm trying to think if I even saw them play live. I think I did. But I do know like Lightning Bolt, which like that was my into this whole scene.
Yeah.
And even both of their stories are like, oh yeah, Lightning Bolt and Pink and Brown, and like all of these people that were doing things at the same time and just creating chaos. But then when you look at everything, like I'm looking at both of their websites right now for their art because I didn't know either of their artworks. And you just look at it and it's so like amazing work. And like Bjorn's work is amazing.
Oh my God, I know, right? And so much color, so much awesome.
Yeah, color and awesome, and sculptures and it's like, this is weird art this is like the type of work that right now, like when you look at it, it's like meaningful, but it's not, I don't know how to describe it. He uses a lot of used, like found objects and putting things together and piecing things and colors, but it's kind of like, I feel like maybe looking at it as an artist, it's like not necessarily sellable. It's not like you're not making like a beautiful painting that you're like, oh, this has it's kind of this work that's like, this is me, here it is, it's in the middle of the room, and it's you're like putting it up. You could just tell he's like putting it all out there. He's not doing it to be like, I'm gonna make 1,000 of these things and I'm gonna sell them, and I'm gonna like, it's coming from that place where when he talks about them playing in Black Dice, it comes from that type of place. It's like, we're taking all this stuff, we're making some things that we love, and we're just putting it out there, and there's not like anything bigger than that. Like, we're in the kind of in the moment, I guess. And it seemed like when he was talking, like so much of what he was talking about was like being in the moment, making things that you love, being around people that you love, starting a thing that you love. And like, that's it. That's where you're at.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a cultural movement or some kind of like grand social experiment or some type of extension into like content, ideation or something, where you could like, oh, cool, you could use this as a filter on a thing and you could do this. It's like, it's just sort of like unique artworks from a particular point of view that sort of has to be acknowledged, that it's not a piece of decorative flourishing or wingdings you could put up on, on on your fridge or something. It's like, oh no, this feels kind of intense. This is a lot to look at, but it's great. No, it was fun talking to. I mean, yeah, there was a lot said there, but I think that like the one thing I really got a lot out of the talk with Bjorn was just his sense of abstraction, or as an artist developing a process of creating meaningful links to what an abstraction could look like or feel like. So where he knows the what, like the equivalent, I don't know if it's necessarily even equivalency, like not, like each line or each movement has a meaning, but it came from a place of, through process, kind of got to another space where it could only have been created that way, that it's not a one-to-one, like, I just thought I'd make all my blues black, and then I would put an algorithm on everything that was above like 50K, and then those would all become green. You're just like, oh, well, that just kind of looks like snow or some kind of strange thing. But to work within two mediums of sound as well as, collage and color, and almost like trick yourself through like hypnosis or some kind of like artistic sort of like brain like transference to then like, oh, cool, here's the sound that works. This is the thing I want. Like, to not necessarily know where you're going for it, but then to find some type of abstraction that's close, that still touches things that that still feels familiar enough, so it's not just all completely digital, the one way or the other, in sound or in look, but has a tactile feel to it and a goopiness almost, but also has a new meaning or a new take or something novel to sort of like express through those things, through those works, and through the amount of stuff that he's done. It's like, wow. Okay. I don't know if you ever, just in talking through a process, like, I want to get to a place and where things are being created that I don't know how I'm going to make them again. Almost like get lost. You have to like take yourself on that journey to find a clear new abstraction that's still, but it tickles you. Somehow you're like, "Woo, I like this." I don't know. I'm vibing on this as I'm making it. I'm also able to observe it. I can observe and make at the same time and kind of create this thing that's like feels new and off any kind of map that anyone's been done. I feel like Bjorn's like just hyper creative in that regard of this type of abstraction.
Yeah. And I mean, but like just coming from that space where even when you're looking at his work or even listening to Black Dice, and it sound like there's randomness, that it sounds like, oh, this is just crazy. And then when you look, you're like, oh, but there's actually things in there. Okay, wait, maybe it's not random, or maybe it comes from a random place, but it's actually like just someone being in the moment, doing a thing in the moment that's like really thoughtful and focused, but then there's not a reason for it, which I think is like what so much of good art, or art that lasts, is like someone not thinking about what people are going to think about it, or someone not doing a thing for a reason, but they're actually like, they just are doing a thing and they're in the moment and they're making that thing, and then they're done with the thing and they move on. And then it's someone else's job to figure out if it works or not, or like if it's important, or if it's going to be heralded, or if it's going to be like your worst thing ever or whatever. But that has nothing once you do the thing, it has nothing to do with you anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like so much work, or so many things that we see now, are like or things that we do, like things that I do. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to put that on Instagram because that would be great for Instagram. Like people on Instagram, we're going to love this.
Yeah.
Or whatever. That becomes this thing where you're like, well, you're actually making something that is, you're saying, well, this is going to go to this place. And so I'm going to make a thing that's going to go to this thing that's going to work on this thing.
There's a terminal sort of endpoint for your creation. You know that this, if it goes here, then that completes its circle. The tab has been closed. Totally. Versus something that has an open-ended, unknowable, like I don't know, just out there in the void. It's just it's still continuing to exist with no real validation or consideration for it. Like,
okay. I'm going to make a song that's going to win a Grammy.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of just like, wow, this is the best song of the year because someone made this amazing song and beautiful song and whatever, has the best lyrics or whatever. It's like, no, these are all the Grammy songs. There's 5 of them. They kind of all sound the same. Very similar. They all slap.
I heard this motor breaking down on the back of an ice machine at a cheap hotel in Nebraska, and it's the best song I had heard all year because it had this like unknowable kind of statement, and it was really sounded like the industrial sort of like gears coming to a close and clashing within itself and gurgling and drowning itself. It's very deep and profound kind of sound. But I love what
ice machine won a Grammy that year.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Well, it did.
That was the sense. Ice machine of 1994.
Yeah. Well, that ice machine has an $80,000 like hair makeup, choreography, dance, and production staff that works around the clock to make these really like natural sort of feeling Instagram posts that happen.
But 10 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah, that costs money. The thing that I think too that's fun about Bjorn is it's not really winking, or it's not like I think you said the consideration for the audience, but I think in that sense sometimes you see this art that sort of has a bit of a spry, sort of like, ooh, look at me, aren't I clever? See what I did there? Those 2 avocados look like hearts. Oh, ooh, I did that. Oh my God. But I just feel like there's I think, or even within the music or something too, then you have like everything drop out and the bass comes in, boom, 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 whatever it is. Like you could easily apply metrics or sort of tropes of things in both the sound and the visual world that would sort of then link it or almost exploit its wild nature to some sort of like tethered known factor. I think that's why I think it's so interesting, in his process of abstraction, is that it's not completely void of meaning or relevancy to anything that you can recognize. So it's not a complete like esoteric, just like, oh, that's just a field of color or a field of dots or something. That there are still like relatable sounds and images, but it's manages to do that without really stepping on or building off of other real like real tropes, or kind of cliches in other ways, which is really, I think it's like, what a narrow, like it's the thinnest sort of line there for somebody. And that he cares, I think just from the thing, but also just from the point of view of someone who would make this, like they would care. They did that on purpose. It doesn't just accidentally happen over and over and over again for 20 years. Like there's real consideration for it.
Say. Yeah. I was going to say that exactly about it being on purpose. Like it feels like there's some of this type of work that's like found objects put together and it feels random and you're like, okay, I mean, it looks nice, but you can just tell there's something missing from it. And all of his work looks really purposeful, but you can't tell why. Like I can't for me.
Sure,
like,
right.
That looks like it looks like it was on purpose. I can't tell what it means or if it even means anything.
Right.
But it looks like it's like all those pieces look like they're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's even like a good, like music can be that way too, where you hear music that sounds really random, but then there's some stuff that sounds really random and you're like, I don't know, for some reason it's working for me. It seems like all those notes were put there, even if it's like, I don't know, just sounds right. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. No, I just know from my own sort of practice of playing and sort of creating soundscapes or doing things, it's a lot of just trying to unplug your head and just kind of go, yeah, that just sounds right. That just feels right. Try to listen with some other kind of like lizard brain or your gut or something else, and just try to use your brain to over process something and to over kind of like manipulate things to the point of like, obfuscation, where you can't tell what it is anymore. It's no longer, it's completely opaque. And then you dial it back a little bit, and then you just kind of then turn on, then you go on autopilot and kind of let your gut. Now we've reached a level of sort of just like, there's so much material here and I've made so much stuff. And then now let's just unplug the brain and let the gut guide through it. Like, ooh, that's weird. Ew, I like this. And then kind of like start to glom onto those things and start to like thread those together, like within a loose kind of association. Like, that just is feeling cool. Okay. But what if it all went sideways? Like, oh, okay. You just kind of, so then it's like almost skydiving. You're just kind of just finding things and touching things as lightly as you can, and then go, okay, then stop. Like, okay, now what is it? Like, that's kind of interesting. Okay.
And do you ever kind of like catch yourself BSing?
Of course, it's all BS.
Like when you're playing.
Yeah.
No, but you're just doing something. You're like, oh, that's so good. Oh man, that's like, and you're feeling it, but then in the back of your head, you're like, stop. Just stop. That's not it. It's not the thing. Just stop right now and start on a new thing, because right now, like, you're going to come back like in a week and you're going to take this thing out anyway.
No, I think if I'm really feeling something, if I'm really like feeling a moment, you know what I mean? Which is that's powerful. That's a hard thing to do. Yeah. That doesn't come easy. It doesn't come without like putting something into it. Especially as a sober man in my 40s, like if I'm really feeling something, it's we've heard how icy my heart is, and I can't be swayed by easily things. So if I'm able to get to a place creatively where I'm feeling really excited and happy about something, that's some hard won.
You've really done it.
That's a patch of dirt that I've blood, sweat, and teared and pissed on, and I've really made that ground for myself to really. So I'm going to enjoy it while I'm there. In terms of its like usefulness or what if I can do anything with it the next time I hear it, as a listener, I don't know. That's someone else's problem. That's me of next week's problem. I can't, if I'm really feeling something and enjoying how something sounds and playing in it, I really have taught myself to really just enjoy those moments. Like, this just sounds good. I'm going to shake. I'm going to bob my head. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to enjoy this because it's just, that's cool. It's good to have those like joys. Like, I can't be so cynical to take that kind of stuff away, because I would really have not much enjoyment left in life. So a well played guitar chord that's warm and kind of like shimmering or doing something, or a piece of a melody line or something that's kind of like layers of sound that's kind of gauzy and ooey and gooey and weird and moving around in a stereo space. Like, I can enjoy that a lot. Maybe the song just needs a power chord. It goes jank. And so that other stuff. So then what happens with that stuff? Then it gets put on another file. That's like something for me to use somewhere else, or something for me just to enjoy. Something, you know what I mean? Like, I understand I can't get so caught up in that stuff to where it makes me unproductive, but I can also just go, oh, well, that's for something else. I really like that part, but I'll find a use for that somewhere else. This is how I try to keep it going for myself. But it's hard. It's hard to know what it's all, where does it all go? But I think as an artist yourself, like, if there's something that your gut is the first audience that you have to satisfy, you know what I mean? If your gut's going with something and you're like, cool, I have to imagine other people have similar guts to that, or at least now I can then apply like a craft or a learned years of experience. Now my gut, and then you look at, well, my gut really loved was just this particular arrangement or this color or this play here. That's interesting. That's doing something, but all that other crap around there takes away from that, cheapens it. So let's go ahead and remove some of this. Some of the grain that's just technically incorrect. That doesn't need to be there. I'm not going to lose the feeling of the gut response if I start to clean this thing up and really sort of set it almost like a gem, like, let's create a nice setting for this thing. The gem itself can sparkle, but I need to like use my years of experience. And I think that's a big thing where you can see from like, young people starting out and someone who's been doing it a long time. It's the filigree or some of the finer stuff around it. You kind of go, oh, okay, there they go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the things that happen. I feel like that, like, once you start getting better at a certain thing, you start like the parts in between when you're trying to do things start to become easier to do. I don't know, easier. or like more
shorter.
like
you can
like
you can get to it quicker.
Or you're just like you're using more intuition than thinking about things more and more. I think like I feel like even as like for shooting photos, when I was shooting more and more and more, and then was like, okay, now I'm like having shoots every week, like eventually you're like, oh yeah, I'm kind of like, I know how to do this.
Yeah.
Go here, lights here, do this, blah, 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 blah. Now we just start. And before you would be like freaking out about all the little details and stuff. And I realize that now it's just starting to learn how to paint. And I'm like, oh my God, it looks like I'm like trying so hard. There's everything, like every single line looks like I'm trying so hard. And then every once in a while, like a little like flip, like, wait, how do I redo? Okay, that's the line I'm looking for.
That looks effortless. That's
like,
the effort.
That's never
that's
coming
the expression.
back. See you in a year when you can do that maybe on purpose.
Do 400 of those in the next hour. Yeah, but I think for me a lot of it too is just with age, you know, and at least in the music side of stuff, it's like I worry less because I know what I can do and I know what my equipment can do, and also know what it can't do. I think that's the hard part when you're starting out is you're unsure of yourself because you don't know really what you can accomplish. And then you also don't know if your equipment is good enough or if it can do all the things that you have in your head. You don't really know how to you don't know how to use your tools accurately or quick enough to translate what's in your head to what you want to create. And so I think for me over the years, I've just understand like, oh yeah, no, I can use any guitar, any amp, and I need a couple of these pedals because I'll shape some stuff with that and I'll be able to loop and delay things that way. Well, I think 20 years ago, I didn't know what was what was the necessary parts of that process, that creative process to keep. I was stressing or I was like obsessing on parts that were irrelevant, but I didn't know that. But I had to go through all those times to get to the place of kind of going like, you probably, I'm sure the same for photography or for painting. It's like, you don't need the big light kit. You need 2 lights. You know what I mean? And then that's the thing that's the difference of, somebody like, wow, that's a really, well, yeah, that light cost $10,000, but I only need 1 versus the $200 light kit that has 500 lights in it, but they're all bullshit. And they're all garbage. Like you're going to lug those around for years and nothing's going to look good. But you just get the one good one and it works, or piece of equipment.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I wonder if like in all of these like creative pursuits that you're eventually like you're kind of funneling everything down. So like at the very beginning, there's like a million possibilities, and so you have like when you start a band, oh, maybe we're going to be a metal band. Maybe we're really heavy. Maybe we use this kind of amps. Maybe we all Fender stuff and it's going to sound light and airy, or maybe it's going to sound like the Melvins, or maybe, and then eventually like years and years and years go by. You're like, nope. And you're like kicking all of the possibilities out that you just know you're not going to like. And then eventually you get to this point where you're like, well, now my possibilities are down to 3. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do like the heart, like the heavier music, or I'm going to do the lighter music, or I'm going to do the weirder music. And I have all my things for that. And I know all my tools. I know what I want it to sound like, and I know how to get it to sound like that thing. So this is just what I do now.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel like that even with photo or video stuff in the last couple of years of like, I was always trying to do all these things. And then eventually I'd be like, well, I just kind of want to make something like really colorful with a lot of layers and then figure out the subject matter later. And that stuff always seems to work. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time I try to do something else, it's like so hard and difficult. And it always turns out looking horrible. And then I'm like, I'm just going to try this other thing real quick. And then that ends up being the thing. And I'm like, maybe I've just like whittled it down a little bit to where I'm in it's like a different space than I think I'm in.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Funny.
All right. Well, should we stop here? Let everybody go on with their lives and everybody enjoy the rest of your Monday, the rest of your week. We have Mr. Joel Kayak from Six Finger Satellite landed and Dream Mega coming up this Thursday as part of week 2 of 5 fucking Thursdays in February. Hyphenate first theme month, Providence, Rhode Island noise theme.
5 hyphenate 5 hyphenate February.
Fingers. Yes. God damn. I picked the worst month. I think the 5 thing just bugs me because I was like, cool, I just need 4 interviews and I can make it a theme. And then I picked February, which is the shortest month. I'm like, this will be easy. I'm going out of town. I'll just lock this in. This is great. It's a theme. It'll run itself. And I go, 5? What month has 5 fucking Thursdays in it? And that's the
shortest month.
But it even has another day now. This is leap year. Yeah. It's got 29 days. And one of those days, the leap day, the last one is going to be a Thursday. Fuck
this
me.
Is your month. This is your month.
This is it. It's my time to shine.
It was all put here for you.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see you on Thursday and then back here next Monday when we talk about Mr. Joel Kayak. See you then. Bye.
Thanks. See you.